We were just talking with Kevin, and the topic that came up was we were talking linebackers, and he mentioned Coach Inge has a background in and he said I think that's been very helpful, partially because of his knowledge of the personnel. So he's been able to talk with Brian and others about maybe what kids were capable of or would fit them in terms of what Brian wanted to do. Is that true?
Absolutely. William's been a tremendous benefit just because of his knowledge of out-front defense and his experience there, but also his knowledge of our players and their capabilities and what we think they can do. So it's been a nice, real good transition from the standpoint of incorporating some of the things he did, some of the things that I've done in my past, and just being able to blend them together.
He said it avoids wasted reps.
It sure does. It sure does. We're able to cross-train some kids. Nick Mangieri can be a boundary or a field backer. Clyde Newton can go inside. So just the versatility. Absolutely. And that's why Coach Inge has been able to pull some of my guys to inside at times and vice versa.
Over the course of spring, do you feel like guys have become more reactive and having to think less because they have a feel for what it is that they're supposed to do?
Well, but up to about an hour ago, yeah. No, I think so. I think we got fatigued today, mentally and physically, a little bit fatigued there toward the end of practice. But we have put a lot of defense in, especially over the last week. So we probably need to, put the brakes on how much defense and get back to what we've been doing. Because there, when the bullets started flying, our guys play really, really fast. Now we got to thinking too much.
What are your thoughts overall? Because you've had a series of practices now where you could see them in action, where before spring break you couldn't. I mean, so what are your thoughts on how they've come along?
Well, I think our kids have embraced what we're trying to teach them, and I think we've really just tried to teach them just our expectations and standards as far as how our effort, how we're going to chase the ball, our determination out there, accountability to each other. So, whether obviously scheme's important, but once we get those fundamentals down, I think those kids will start to rely on those fundamentals more than just what the call is.
What are some of your expectations and standards for them?
My expectations and standards are to be a significantly improved defense, and I think that by kids getting older, by kids, straining a little bit when you're tired mentally, when you're tired physically, being able to strain and make a play. So many times last year there were a lot of opportunities where if we just strain and get off the field, it's a different story. So, and we've gone through those situations here during spring, and we need to continue to get better when things are tough to be able to strain and somebody step up and make the big play.
I heard you yell, "Make the play!" toward the end, and I don't know what the situation was, but there was, in your perception, a play there to be made that wasn't made, and there was a lot of that last year talking about kids being in position but plays not being made. Is that
whatever defense you're in, if it's in your area, you have to make the play because we all have responsibilities. We're going to force them to spill the ball or send the ball to a certain player. So everybody's got to be able to, when their time comes or comes in my area, they got to make the play. So we got to be able to find the right guys. We've mixed some guys around, and I certainly believe we have enough talent to find 11 guys. And we've talked to our guys. We may not play, the best 11 players. We want the 11 best, as a group. And so that'll be important.
How has the schematic change influenced the linebackers? What have you noticed from them?
I think it's given them an opportunity. David Cooper, Nick Mangieri, Flo Harden, been able to give those guys an opportunity to make more plays. And I think we've got a good group of linebackers because we've moved some guys. David Kinney came back and made some good plays today. So it's an opportunity at some guys maybe to be able to see their athleticism and give them an opportunity to like I think Mangieri and David Kinney can be playmakers for us. And I think the scheme has given them that opportunity to do that.
What would you like to see from Kenny Mullen in terms of
Kenny Mullen?
Yeah.
Well, I think Kenny has had a really good spring coming up, especially the off season, and I think it's just making plays when it comes to him, being able to get the guy down. We need a guy other than to have three corners in a lot of situations we get into. Kenny's going to have to be that guy that competes for a starting job, but also can be our nickel, or be able to be on the field quite a bit when people start getting 3 and 4 wide receivers on the field.
We talked a little last week about the safeties, the guys that are getting more time because Antonio and Walker are out. What's impressed you about some of those guys who's kind of stood out to you?
I think physically it's a real physical group. First half of practice, we were going inside half line. Chase Dutra is making plays on the line of scrimmage. They need to continue to work on their abilities to make plays in space. As physical as they are and making tackles on the line of scrimmage, when it's covering a deep half, that's the challenges right now that they continue to get better at.
What do you feel like Coach Jost has been like through the addition of the staff? It seems like he's a fireball back there. It seems like he's done a lot.
Absolutely. I think hopefully what you see from our defensive staff is there's tremendous, every play there's coach. We're going to coach them up on every play. There's not going to be a play we don't say something. So whether it's every 120 plays we have in practice, those guys are getting coached, and there's tremendous energy, because I think if we don't have the energy, they certainly won't on the field.
What just last thing, it seems like Murph and Antonio Allen are just sort of itching to hit somebody. And I know Antonio laid somebody out today.
Antonio was over there, asking me to go in on team, and obviously he can't now. But I mean, he and Skelly, he made a huge play in Skelly, and so I think he's just itching to get back in. And really, for such a short time he's been out of surgery, he's been pretty dynamic in open field and Skelly situations.
What's kind of the limits on those two right now? I mean, what are they?
No contact. Murph as well. Murph with the shoulder, can't have any physical contact. He can be a little more involved than Antonio with a knee injury. There's some situations planning that we want to limit, but Murph's not as limited right now as Antonio, but neither one will be able to do any contact drills.
How do you